Hello, my name is Issa Wong, and I will be presenting on education inequalities and comparing the United States Constitution to the Indian Constitution. In an ideal democracy, quality education needs to be accessible for every citizen, regardless of race or gender. When citizens have access to quality education, they are able to create clear, analytical perspectives on what their government is doing, as well as any policies their government is imposing on them. When the government makes the choice to block a certain group of citizens from education, they are limiting that group's mind and their ability to come to a deeper understanding of the different issues they deal with in their personal and professional lives. Limiting education also affects the future generations of these select groups permanently. Education inequalities also usually affect economic inequalities between different groups within a society. Constitutional laws need to be in place to ensure that under no circumstance are select minority groups permitted to be discriminated against regarding their education. After the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865, slavery was ended. Now all former slaves were citizens and protected under the law, supposedly. Despite this presumption, former slaves had to fight for basic rights which white citizens were allowed just for being born in America. In 1868, the 14th Amendment was ratified, which states in Section 1, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the due process of law, nor deny to any persons within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws." Despite these laws being in place within the Constitution to protect former slaves, there was still large levels of discrimination, which were usually manifested in the way of Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws stated that black and white facilities could be separated as long as they were equal in quality and standard. In 1954, the landmark Brown versus Board of Education case ended, and courts determined that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal, and this inherent unequalness that the court spoke of was apparent by examining the self-esteem of the African American children, which was a direct result of school segregation. If you separate one group of kids, they're going to always think, why do I have to be separate from the other kids? And especially with all the other forms of discrimination, the African American students knew they were seen as less than the white students. India's educational system has faced similar trauma because of the age-old belief and adherence to the rules surrounding the caste system. The caste system, which is also referred to as jati, separates Indian citizens into four distinct social groups. These groups from top to bottom are Brahmin, priests; Kshatriya, warriors; Vyasya, merchants; Sudra, commoners; and untouchables, or which are commonly street sweepers. The caste system is a way of separating a larger population of people so that they each have a designated role. The consequences of this system is the difficulty surrounding social mobility and caste discrimination in the modern world. There are laws in place which are designed to help protect those in the untouchable class. These laws operate similarly to affirmative action laws in America. In addition to laws, there is an article in the Constitution directly related to the caste system. This article, which is Article 46 of the Indian Constitution, states that the state shall promote with special care the education and economic interests of the weaker sections of the people, and in particular of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Article 29 speaks to the same cause, stating no citizen shall be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state or receiving aid out of state funds on grounds of only religion, race, caste, or language. Although laws exist to protect the untouchables, the legal process does not reflect the justice system in place. Also, police usually fail to file accurate reports regarding instances involving the untouchables, so they go on unprotected in many cases. Constitutions are intended to be for the people, ensuring protection from a government and institutions which may not always have their best interest in mind. However, in nations as large as the United States of America and India, it is impossible for the Constitution to safeguard against every instance of discrimination. The Constitution is only the beginning of justice within a nation. The power is always in the people, and the Constitution acts as a way to begin to change people's minds around a specific political issue. The grassroots work and the experience of the people and the choice of the people to rise up against the injustice they feel in their communities is where the justice can be found within a democracy. So then, what does a constitution really do? It gives people the tools they need to combat injustice through the power of education. Once an individual knows their rights and studies the Constitution, they will be able to defend themselves against most, if not all, of the injustices brought upon them. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you enjoyed my presentation on education and equality.